seem
A
to have
turd.
these. You don't seem to
Hey,
have these
everybody, we're in
problems in the major
overtime now
universities.
where
And I don't know if
all
that's
the good
because of the
stuff really
government
comes
issues and
out.
they are
Am
elected
I,
or
Right.
not. That
I'm
it's
muted.
look, HCC's been a disaster for as long as I've been in Houston. I remember maybe 20 years ago, they had their big foundation gala and they asked me to chair it. And I turned it down just because I was afraid that during the time I was doing it, there'd be some big scandal that would break.
Exactly.
So
And
I don't know
it's a
what the
train
issue
wreck.
is, but I will
It
say
is.
that, Lone Star and San Jacinto don't seem to have these problems.
You don't read about them.
Yeah.
Hey, everybody, I just want to say welcome to what I think is super value added overtime conversation. Look at Charles Blain. He's excited to be here.
I think he was resting, actually.
Hey, unfinished business. Tomaro Bell, what did you think of that report card on the city's financial fitness? I mean, I go to those press conferences with the mayor and he says, oh, we have balanced the budget one more time. And, it's just not true.
As the chair of the finance committee for the Super Neighborhood Alliance, which I actually started that committee years ago when I told them, look, I'm an accountant. We got to look at the city's finances and what's going on. And none of that surprises me. Like Bill said, if it was not for Harvey, if it was not for COVID, we would be bankrupt, okay? Because when the citizens went to the box and voted for the firefighters a raise, they messed up. They didn't mean to do that. So let's go to court and fight it out till my term over, okay? Because Gary was right when he said this will be passed down to the next mayor, just like Bill White did with the pension. Just kick the can down the road further and further. Houston, we have a problem. I don't want to be Chicago. I don't want to be Detroit. We have got to stop this. I have friends who I love dearly leaving, moving to the suburbs because of the safety and the debt issues that we have. Let me tell you, for a first responder is a calling. It ain't a job. That's why HPD is having a problem filling the cadet classes. The firefighters, they have as much value. And let me tell you this, just so you understand, Houston, you can get private security. You can hire the constables to come patrol your area. That's fine. We ain't got but one fire department for this whole area. That's it. We only got them. HFD, that's it. They go to the rich, the poor, the homeless, everybody. You can't treat people like this and expect them to do what they need to do to protect the city. We have got to address the finances, I'm telling you. And when you hear that $100 million is being spent to build a homeless property, and we got 5,000 homeless, you want to make your ass homeless too, because you figure that's going to be worth better than your house, because you ain't spending that kind of money on your own home. What the hell they building for $100 million?
Bill King, there's a sort of Damocles financially in the hanging over the city of Houston in terms of the litigation. How many major lawsuits that could financially devastate the balance sheet are out there? Five.
Yeah. There's 3 from the firefighters that all are $100 million potential liabilities. Ooh. Then there is a lawsuit over the spending cap. And then there's a lawsuit over the utility cap. And I think there might be one more, but at least those 5. And any one of those, if the city were to lose it, you would really be in a world of hurt. Oh, I'm sorry. It's not the utility cap. It's the drainage fee.
Right.
Andy and them have a lawsuit. Andy Taylor and them have a lawsuit that the drainage fee was illegally assessed. And the city's got a lot of defenses to it and stuff. But if it's hard to imagine you're going to win all 5 of these lawsuits, and of course they've lost people.
Islands.
Of course, I never thought that the pension plan solved the problem. I mean, it did some good, but it wasn't a permanent fix, I didn't think. But we have a district court opinion that has declared that pension plan was unconstitutional, violated the state constitution. And that's now up on appeal. And if that gets entirely thrown out as being unconstitutional, I can't even imagine how you go about unwinding the fact that we've now been living under it for the last, several years. I mean, the cost of that would just be staggering.
And the city goes bankrupt is what happens.
Listen, I've since I've clearly expressed that I'm not going to run for mayor again, just about every mayoral candidate has contacted me. And I've gone to lunch with a number of them, and I've told all of them the same thing. Look, do you have any idea what you're getting into here? Because you may be the mayor of Houston that has to take the city through bankruptcy.
Right.
And
yeah, Charles Blain speaks regularly, privately with multiple city council members. Are they aware of what could come crashing down? I mean, imminent is some type of decision on one or both of the firefighter lawsuits. And the estimate there with all the back pay and future pay could be like $500 million. I mean, drop that on the city books.
I think they're aware of it, but I think the administration leads people to
not a person on city council even understands this.
I think they're aware that like financial disarray could come, but I think the administration leads them to believe that everything will be fine because they are in charge and they're going to fix it and nothing is going to reflect upon the city council members. So, I mean, it's hard to ignore the fact that, there's a lawsuit out there that says that you have to pay the firefighters the exact same. And basic math goes to show you that if that comes to pass, we will be broke. And so I think they understand that, but I think they also are shielded by the administration. And I think a lot of them like that.
Hey, Gary,
it ain't that. They're like, this is how they are. Follow the light. Okay, Mayor. Follow the light. Okay, Mayor. They don't even have an IQ to question what the hell is going on. Just follow the light.
Gary, can you see a scenario where you say, oh my gosh, look how much we owe. We've got to lift the property tax cap.
Oh, there's
get our
no
city
question.
back in action.
Yeah, no, there's no question that they want to do that. But as Bill correctly pointed out,
that requires a vote.
Tax revenue is up. The city of Houston's got more money. Houston has a spending problem. City of Houston has never established, in the time as I can remember, what are the priorities for city government? We need to reimagine city government here. What do we want city government to do? What do we want to fully fund? What are things we'd like to do if we had all the money in the world? And the problem with city council is, for the most part, nobody says boo about anything. When's the last time a city councilman criticized the mayor? I can't remember. I don't know. Maybe they do, but most of them, the vast majority, say nothing.
And
hold on. This is a good segue. Talking about what's wrong on city council, two numbers. 45 to 47% of Houston is Latino, and only one of 16 seats. It's Sergio's favorite issue. Take it away, man. Why is that so freaking unfair?
Well, I think Mark Jones, Rice Political Science, hit it on the nail. He said this is a travesty of democracy. And if this was anyone else, there would be public outcry constantly. Let me just share with you, of all the large urban cities in Texas, not a single one of them had at-large seats, and yet they have more representation of folks that reflect the demographics. Houston, since 1979, 2022, there was one Latino councilman, and now, 40 years later, one Latino councilman. Have we really progressed? What have we done?
Well, my question. There was also a Latino. Wait a minute. There was also a Latino controller elected at large, Lynn El Castillo, way back in the 70s.
Right.
Had look, I think it's a problem, but I don't want to get rid of the at-large districts. I mean, you can see how that's screwed up HISD. If anything, I'd expand council and create more single-member districts. But I think getting rid of an at-large councils is a big mistake.
Yeah,
well, but my question,
Sergio, you got to get your people to go vote, my friend.
I'm going to say, because Narrows ran against a Latino and the Latino lost. I couldn't believe that she lost to Cisneros.
Well, and that's my question too. That's
I'm
my
sorry.
question too, because you have a number of districts.
Hold
where-
on, one at a time.
You have a number of districts where there's a majority Latino living in that district. I think Jay at the Cisneros district. So I guess my question is, why is there a way to activate those
Also
folks
age.
rather than?
The voting age population, the registered Latino voters is very small percent. District J has 60-something% Latino, but the registered voters is 17%.
Right.
Voting age group is smaller. So these, when they designed these districts, they did not design them to have a maximum majority minority opportunity to win. They just, now, for example, District H and I,
H and I are both should be Latino seats.
there are Latinos, and Latinos do come out and vote because there are over 50% of Latino registered voters in those two districts. So that substantiates the argument. If you have districts, single member districts with more Latino that are registered voters, the likelihood of winning is greater. But if you look, it's since 1980, and again, I'm not focusing on city controllers or other this. I'm talking about at-large seats since 1980 to now. There's been 111 opportunities to elect a Latino to one of those seats, or a person of Asian, or I'm sorry, Latino. The only out of 111 times, only 6 times Gracie Science and Orlando Sanchez won. And so basically what that's saying is that the large system does not work for Latinos. It may work for other groups, but it's not working for Latinos.
We certainly elected Asians and African Americans to this.
Go ahead, Gary.
Your efforts only looking at large is what you're saying, not district single member.
Yeah,
Yeah,
in fact, the Chicago model is excellent. They have 50 aldermen and 1 mayor. So expanding it by having more single member districts like in Chicago, you'll have more representation closer to the communities. For example, in Chicago, San Antonio, Dallas, where they actually eliminated the at-large position. Now, I'm not saying to dilute or minimize the gains made right now, but I'm looking at in the future, when some of these folks are termed out and something to look at. But the 2 lawsuits in San Antonio and Dallas to eliminate at-large actually produced the results, the outcomes that we're asking for.
Yeah, except it's bad for Paul. Yeah, except Sergio, here's the problem. If you don't have people with an overall city perspective, that's a bad thing. I'm not into quotas. I don't believe in it. Now you're playing the same race game basically that Biden played. Look, the truth is Hispanics can get elected. They just need to run. Now we can replace some of the clowns on city council with equally clownish Hispanic political figures like Adrian Garcia. If you think that's progress, my friend, you're flat wrong. I know there are great people in the Hispanic community. I know there are great entrepreneurs and business people. Those are the people we need to get involved in politics. Those are the people we need to convince to run for office, and they can win if they run good campaigns. But the purpose here is not to design districts so we can make sure this right color person wins. The purpose is to elect good people. The problem with city council is we don't have enough good people.
I want to circle back to our principal issue in this show, which was, the epidemic of violent crime. If we had an up or down vote in this town on the issue, do you want more police officers on the street or less? Thumbs up to yes.
It always passes.
You want to spend more money on incarceration if it's necessary to keep predatory violent offenders off the streets? Yes. Do you believe people who have committed multiple violent felonies in their past should be allowed freedom as they wait trial on new charges? I think no. I mean, so are people going to go to the ballot box? Are they going to go to the ballot box and express those views?
But that's not the question at the ballot box. That's the problem.
Right.
That's
But
not.
but Greg, you're right, because what you've done is frame the issue. And so what the issue for voters is quite simply this: are you satisfied with the way things are in terms of public safety? If the answer is no, then the 3 stooges on Commissioner's Court need to go. And the judges who are soft on crime and don't consider victims need to go. It's not a party label. It has nothing to do with that. These are individuals. There are anti-crime Democrats or anti-crime Republicans. There are probably some pro-crime Republicans There's lots of pro-crime Democrats, but I would not sweep with the broad brush. And I will give Bill the list of who the judges are that are balanced.
I want that list. I want
Go
that
ahead,
list
Tamara.
too. Because
I'll
I
get
got
it
a
to you
hit list.
tomorrow.
I don't
I'll
have
get
a
it to
good
you.
list. I got a hit list. If you on my hit list, I'm gonna be at West Great telling them, don't vote for your ass.
I'll
But
get you
I
the
will-
list.
I will suggest this. Hold on. Think about this. I believe there are at least 5,000, maybe more folks in the city of Houston who are driving around with automatic weapon capacity like we saw in the attack on the 3 officers. It is a miracle that they didn't get hit in a vital organ. That guy spewed off at least 50 rounds, it seemed like. Bill, I mean, you were looking at this, right?
Yeah, so it's apparently, I didn't know this, but apparently there is a switch that you can create with a 3D printer that turns a Glock into an automatic weapon. So you can take a Glock, add this the switch on it, and then you could put in you put in a magazine that's a foot long or whatever, and you can just hold your Glock and it will just keep shooting as long as you have the trigger down. And
That's illegal. That's illegal though under present law,
No
for whatever
shit.
that's worth.
Of course it is. but apparently that's what's going on. And apparently these guys have figured out how to do these things on a 3D printer. And so that's what's going on. And I think I heard the other day that Ted Oberg was working on a story.
Yeah, he did a piece on it.
Did he already? Okay. So anyway, that's apparently what happened. And somebody told me that on one of the radio channels, somebody said this is one of those guys that has the switch on his Glock or something. So it's apparently something law enforcement is well aware of. But look, it's we always say add more police, throw more people in jail. But the truth of the matter is this is a much more complicated problem than that. And, we need to not have people in jail that are not violent offenders and free up that space. We need to have police officers that are focused on solving crimes. Look, we've got all sorts of police officers. We got them down there doing car registrations and all sorts of administrative jobs. You go in the police and there's a dozen of them down there doing security to walk in the building. Go hire a security company to do that and get these guys out on the street and solve crimes. The rate at which we solve crimes in this country and in the city as well, but this is not just the city of Houston, is abysmally low. We solve like 4 or 5% of the burglaries that are committed. We only solve about 60 or 70% of the murders, less than half the rapes that are committed. We never solve. Those crimes are completely unsolved. So there's not a lot of incentive, there's a lot of not disincentive for criminals not commit these crimes when they know that they're not likely to get caught for it.
Well, part of the problem, Bill, is that our police department, as pointed out earlier, is grossly understaffed. Our sheriff's department is grossly understaffed. You're talking about officers who have hundreds and hundreds of cases they got to work on. It's kind of like the DAs being understaffed.
Well,
so fully staffing makes a difference if we give them the help. And the other concern that we have is the response time. When you make a 911 call, I have a home invasion occurring in my home. Yeah. They show up an hour, maybe 2 hours later. They're not there. They're there to clean up and do the report, not to protect you at your home. That's why so many law-abiding citizens are getting guns.
Staffing for a second, because I think it's a really important point. We don't have enough police officers. But the other big problem that we have in this region is these overlapping law enforcement agencies. We have sheriff's officers, we have constables, we have Metro, we have HISD.
Oh, it's crazy.
All this stuff. If you add all those resources together, it's actually a pretty big law enforcement. But because it's so fragmented and they're all off doing different things and it's not coordinated,
you're right.
It's a very inefficient system.
All right.
Good
I said that.
Point.
Okay. What you just said, Bill, I said on Channel 2 with my interview. They could coordinate U of H, TSU police, they could Rice police, you got the constables, you got Metro police, you got HISD police, you got Aldine police. They could coordinate this together and do a much better effort. But more so than that, right now at the city, they're redoing the noise ordinance. Currently, if a club is low, music is too loud, they send in an HPD officer in there to give them a ticket that ARA is the one that's governing. Now, if you don't know who ARA is, they are the ones who now boot your car, give you tickets and all that, to work around in that parking management vehicles. Okay, I said when they were doing this, you all need to get HPD out of the clubs for noise ordinance when somebody getting shot outside. They don't need to be in there with a noise meter. The same parking meters who come out at 1 o'clock in the morning, ticket everybody around Alameda, everybody around Emancipation, all the way around Washington, they can go inside the clubs. That will free up officers. Then as Lee Brown 655 OT, why are officers working part-time jobs doing security at clubs and all that? They could be out there working OT for us in the city. Let the clubs hire somebody else. Then the constables, they need to be engaged more, not less. And with the three stooges and leadership, if they had their way, they would be rid of the constables. I'm telling you all, this takes out of the box thinking to get this genie back in the bottle. Because with all of this that went on, I'm gonna say it again. If you subtract the amount of people, Bill said around 130 people who've been killed by repeat offenders from our murder rate, our murders would have went down. It is the leadership at Commissioner's Court presently that did this bail bond reform that ain't working. It's not working. It ain't working if you live in River Oaks. It ain't working if you live in 3rd Ward. It ain't working if you live in Edo. It ain't working. This shit needs to end.
The number is actually over 150, Andy Kahn's latest number. I'd like to hear from Sergio. You had a lot to absorb here.
Yeah, no, thank you for giving me a little opportunity to respond here. A couple of things. I spoke to a couple of friends that are police officers, and I say, what is your number one effective way to resolve this problem? Chief Tenor said the other day on TV that we all must do something, but it wasn't specific. So I needed to ask a former friend of mine who's a police officer, and I said, what is it? What did he mean by that? He means effective policing. We need to hold folks. I think Gary touched on it earlier that the media has projected a negative image of some officers, that make poor choices and really bad choices, which is a very, very small percent. Most police officers are good, hard-working, loyal folks, patriotic, and trying to serve our community. But effective policing, community policing, more funding in that area. But let me go back to, I wanted to touch on the $100 million expenditure on the homeless facility. We need to ensure that $100 million includes a large portion of mental health specialists. I think Bill mentioned on terms
I agree with that.
The addiction, the problems of mental health, and also to look carefully, who are the consultants on this $100 million initiative? Those folks are going to make millions of bucks. So
all of the money.
We have to look
at all times.
So true.
we need to look closely at that.
Hey, Bill, Greg.
Hold on. I just want to say, let's get Channel 11 in here since Tomorrow is promoted Channel 2 and Bill is promoted Channel 13. Let's just get everybody in.
I was going to add, we talked about the Commissioner's Court, and a lot of the stuff that goes on there is like below the knowledge level of an average citizen, not like super citizen Tamara here, or Bill, or Charles, or Sergio. So the Commissioner's Court a year ago, after they made the first deal and agreed to greatly lift up the bond issues for misdemeanors, so we have now revolving doors. You got people coming out of misdemeanors, and they come in and they get their paper and they walk out. I mean, it's unbelievable. So following that, a new lawsuit was filed. It's called Russell versus Harris County. And that case is pending in the courts. And this was for felony bonds. And what they were trying to do is do what they did to misdemeanor bonds for felonies. And so that case is pending. Now the Fifth Circuit has decided basically you can't do that stuff. So maybe that'll go away. But before the Attorney General of Texas intervened in the case, Rodney, Lena, and Adrian were cutting a deal with the other side. They're going to pay him $2 or $3 million in attorney's fees, and they're going to agree to a consent decree and have a monitor, outside monitor. They're going to pay millions of dollars a year to watch and make sure they got all these people out of jail that didn't need to be. But Rodney couldn't be patient. So what Rodney did was call the Democratic judges up who were up this time and said, here's what I want you to do on bail bonds. And if you don't do it, I'll get you a primary opponent. You check the Democratic primary list, and any of the Democratic judges who are tougher on bonds got opponents that Rodney recruited. So the cancer that starts, and that's why I say when people say, oh, there's other issues. No, the cancer starts with Rodney and Lena and Adrian. If we don't get rid of them, like Raddick said, nothing's going to change. It's going to get worse. And that's why what Tamara's doing and others are doing. I mean, Lena needs to lose the Democratic primary. She has some good opponents in there that are pro law and order. She needs to go. We need to send her back to New York where she came from. And then we need to beat Adrian because Adrian's just a hack.
All right, hey, guess what? Guess what? We talked about it last week, but Tomaro Bell was there on the front lines. Erica Davis got a big endorsement from the African-American Democrats in here. You want to talk about that tomorrow?
Yes, okay. They had the HBAD screening, the forum where they picked their slate. On there initially, they had no recommendation. I found out from insiders, Lena did so bad when they asked her about her firing of all her African employees damn near when she first got there, she couldn't respond. She could not give them an answer. They were like, okay, well, were they unskilled? What is? She couldn't say anything. When they asked her about her initiative, she said nothing. So they said, okay, look, we'll just do a no endorsement. But the members was like, you could pull a race. If you didn't like what the slate recommended, you could have that race pulled, and then the floor got to vote. And Erica Davis is now the recommended candidate for Houston Black area Democrats, where they had a no endorsement at all. It flipped and it got there. But one thing y'all not talking about, okay, and I would listen to everybody, all of you all, one thing y'all haven't said, the courts have been closed. You're talking about how much the public defenders get. They have done no work. Some of those judges have not had a case or a trial in almost 2 years. They asses got to go. They got to go. And I'm looking for Andy Kahn. If you watch it, Andy, I want to list, I want to see judge by judge, the judges who have repeatedly let people out. I'm going to give y'all one right damn now. That boy shot that girl 22 times, 16 years old, walking her dog. He shot her 22 times. When they caught his ass, his bags was packed. They were packed. And Hazel Jones let his ass out, okay? The girl who he killed her about let them know he had pulled a gun on her. And Hazel Jones let his ass out. This revolving door cannot continue. It cannot. If they don't want to work, because you could have done virtual trials, you could have done whatever and got these courts moving. This is ridiculous that we sat there like this, and had Bill not put in his blog, why the hell we still on red? We would have still been on red until they're just putting us back on red back in April. Okay.
We're still on red, by the way.
Gary, let me ask Gary a question real quick. I'm told that the rebuild of the court complex after 5 years is still not complete. What's the status? What's going on down there?
They're still working on remodeling and fixing the courthouse from the flood that occurred when there was failures in the criminal courthouse when we had Harvey. So yeah, it's still screwed up. We still have some courts that let people show up on Zoom. It's pretty liberal on whether they come or not come. When the old rules are, you don't come, you miss court, your bond's forfeited. So you got that. But here's the other problem that we don't talk about. Lena Hidalgo is the county judge, basically shut down county government, and basically it's still shut down. The clerk's office is not open. You can't go to the district clerk's office. You want to go there, you got to you used to be able to walk in, right? Take care of your business. Now you need to make an appointment. So that's true of all the tax assessor. You can go in and you can get in, but they space you because of COVID. So basically the county government's been closed. We're on red again. We've been on red since in December when Lena put us back there, but it's a joke. It's a joke. So they say in the elevators, you can't have more than 8 people in the elevator. Well, I can tell you, I've got in the elevator, they're packed. Nobody cares. Nobody does anything. So it's just a giant joke. You get your temperature taken when you go in the courthouse, but that doesn't prove you have COVID or not. So it's all just unbelievable waste, fraud, whatever you call it. But basically, it's incompetence. We have incompetent government.
Quick question.
Hold on, Charles.
All right.
The parallel universe that was the Trump rally that I attended yesterday, and the thousands of people, not a single mask.
Well, that
Are they
doesn't.
healthier, less
Look at
healthy?
any
Go ahead.
football. Look at any college or pro football game. 100,000 people.
You don't need a mask.
Come
That you
on.
got to wear a mask in the courthouse too.
Charles, you
Except when the judge can't hear you, then you got to take it off because the judge can't hear you talk when you have the mask over your face. I mean, it's crazy.
Charles Blain, go ahead. And will we be able to cover the feeding of your reptiles live on Overtime sometime?
Sometime, yes. My question was, did they ever announce a plan for what they're going to do with the trials once the rodeo moves into NRG?
Yes, they are. Yeah, they're working on remodeling the old family law center, which, if you remember correctly, has asbestos problems. So that's why they didn't remodel it before. So now they're going to remodel it, and they're going to make these giant rooms. I was at NRG 2 weeks ago to pick a jury. The facility's terrible. I mean, they have the people spread out. You can't see the people in the back, and they're wearing masks, so you can't get facial expressions. I told the judge, I think this is so screwed up. What we need to be doing is put everybody's name in a hat, pick out 12, and that's our jury, because we're learning nothing. And it's terrible. We need to go back they need to put them back in the courtroom. That's what they need to do. But Alina won't let them. So that's why we're spending money now on the Family Law Center. It's a joke. It's all a joke.
What do y'all hear about the Elevate Strategies investigation? Wouldn't it be interesting if we get something out of a
I would look for something regarding that probably in April if it's going to happen, which would have significant impact, I might add, on the runoff. No, it'd be after the primary, before the runoff. They're not going to have it done by March 1st. I mean, they're not going to be done, but it would be. I think it could be out before the runoff. And I think there's going to be people indicted. Is Lena going to get in? I'm predicting there are going to be indictments out of her office. Is she getting indicted? That I don't know. I don't know. She may skate.
But there is no question that process crimes were committed in that.
Oh, absolutely.
And frankly, the person that I think is most at risk is the purchasing agent, because he absolutely made false statements to commissioner's court about what happened in the process. Yeah. Now, does he then flip and say, hey, I did what I was told. To do it by somebody else. I don't know, but I mean,
you better go talk to Rhonda Skilling Jones. Shit.
Yeah, a first-year lawyer could make that case.
Yeah.
Okay, guys, it's 8:33. I want to go around the horn. Burning desires and what did we miss? Why don't I start with you, Bill King?
Well, you all missed that the Symphony Ball was last night, and I'm going to be one of the co-chairs next year, so I expect all you to be buying tables and showing up for the Symphony Ball 1 year from today.
Oh wow,
man! Talk about a guy out of his class.
My brother look happy.
Tomorrow, go ahead. What's on your radar?
Look, the last day to register to vote is it tomorrow, Charles?
I don't know.
It's this week. Lord, you ain't no help.
Yes. April's confirming yes.
Yes. So make sure you are registered to vote. Don't assume you registered to vote. Make sure you vote. And for my seniors, what y'all being put through, I am so sorry. I have a senior who got her card with a name on it that was different from her license, but she filled it out, requested her application. When the application came, it had a different name on it than the card. And so she didn't know what to do. Her son said, well, go on and sign it that way, because one had a maiden name, one didn't. Now she get another one with the other one. She is so worried because voting means so much to her. That's my Miss Dorothy Kincaid. I love you. I love you. I love you. And we're going to have a successful week this week. I love you. But yes, she's really confused, and a lot of seniors are with this whole process.
Okay, Latino Houstonians, my brothers and sisters, get out there. Make Sergio the happiest man on our panel with an explosion of voter registration. More importantly, participation. Sergio, what's on your mind?
You know, folks say that Latinos don't vote, but you're going to see a huge spike of Latinos voting for Lina and Adrian Garcia. I want you to look at the numbers at the end of the March primary and the primary. They're voting.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, that's like stupid voting, Sergio. So we just spent a whole show talking about all the problems that Lina and Adrian are failures, and you want the Latinos to go vote for them, not because they're good, because they're not. They're dangerous.
Everybody
you want
has
to
a
vote for them
different
because they're
perspective.
Latino. Oh my God! I mean, come on, Sergio. You know better than that. I'll tell you, Greg. They're Lina Hidalgo's going down. She's going down in the primary, or she's going down in November because she is the face of the runaway crime in our county. She is the number one crime enabler, with Rodney Ellis hiding behind the curtain, not on the ballot this time, and Adrian following along and doing as he's told. If we don't replace them, Harris County's over. It's done. It's the jungle. We're Detroit.
Okay, we're going to close with the only member of the panel who has
Pessimistic.
fewer yesterdays than tomorrows. Charles Blain.
Well, let's hope so. Knock on wood.
Me?
Next Saturday, Sunday.
Don't know that.
Wait, what?
Go on, Charles. Go on, Charles.
Next
Come
Sunday, I'm moderating a debate for the Republican candidates for county judge at U of H, with a couple different groups, and it should be a good time. We'll see what happens. So
Charles, send the invitation.
I will. And what was that, Greg?
When is it?
Next Sunday at 3 p.m.
Are you trying to kill me?
Well, look, make sure you go to the Sagemont one. Sagemont is doing all candidates for county judge.
Yeah,
They're doing all county judge, and they're doing one other race. But
County
Sagemont Civic
clerk, I
Club
think.
is doing
Yeah.
one.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think
they're
it's
doing-
February 10th, I think.
February
But,
the 10th. But make sure you go to that, Greg. They doing everybody.
Okay. All right, everyone. Thank you for. Go ahead,
Greg,
Gary.
one more comment. Sergio, I invite you to make the case, and I'll put it in my newsletter, of why Lina Hidalgo and Adrian Garcia deserve to stay in office past November. I invite you to do that. And I'll run it in my newsletter. You can write whatever you want as long as it's true.
Okay.
Good luck, brother.
Yeah, you know, I'm more of an optimistic person, and I don't look at the cup empty. And these folks have done some good things, not always.
Yeah, right.
They're
Okay.
attitude, not
I'm going to leave you with your
Hold on,
delusion,
don't talk.
Sergio.
they approach and attitude about members of our elected officials down there in Harris County. Let's be a little more positive. You know, everyone has
Okay,
good.
well,
They're all
no, everyone has good intentions. You know what, Sergio? Facts have stubborn things.
You
And the
know, I
facts
like
say
Sergio.
otherwise.
He has a good attitude on this
He
Sunday.
does.
It's a beautiful day outside. He's leaving us on a positive note.
He has the
Yeah,
Madonna
whatever.
behind him. He got his back up in the room with him.
Yeah.
Go ahead on, Sergio. Go ahead.
I don't have guns or rifles in my background. I got the beacon that Guadalupe that always has my back. I see you
There
I
you
see
go.
that, and I like
There you
that. I
go.
like that.
Right.
God bless
Let's
you,
leave it
brother.
there.
guys.
Thanks to everybody who stuck around for overtime. It's always value added. And we'll try to see you back here next Sunday, same place, same time. And plenty of I think piercing commentary by our talented crew.
Yeah, you
Have a
can't
good
miss. It's can't miss television, Greg.
Yes.
That's right.
All right. See you guys.
We'll see
Bye.